I'm thinking of a real John Voight and Anaconda vibe. Lean into it, baby. That's exactly what we're looking for out of a goalie mask.
This episode is presented by Moen Flow. Self-expression through fashion, whether on the field of play or off of it, has snowballed in sports. Hockey doesn't always spring to mind in these discussions, but artistic interpretations were present on the ice well before custom cleats, kicks, and mitts became common. Sure, maybe the arena tunnels aren't quite as adventurous as in the NBA or the NFL, but the outdoor game fits are on another level. Let's dig into the journey, from Jason Voorhees between the pipes to vibrant personalized skates and everything in between. He's Greg, I'm Arda. Welcome to another edition of The Flow. This time around, we're talking about goalie masks, which have a very unique place in hockey history, not just because of the customization and the art, which we'll get into in a second, but also the functionality, the protection, the safety of what the mask represents. It's crazy that the mask wasn't implemented earlier in hockey history until Jacques Plante came around and created something to protect your face from these giant pucks coming at you in such a high speed.
We both know in the history of hockey, going back to the original Six era, it was probably a point of pride for these guys who could take the hardest slap shot off their forehead, who lost the most teeth playing goal. Like, it was psychotic. So luckily somebody came around and said, you know, it'd be fun wearing a mask, protecting my face from 100-mile-per-hour slap shots coming at me several times a game.
It's interesting you mentioned point of pride, because that's really how the customization, the decoration of the goalie mask began. Jerry Cheevers is credited as the first person to decorate their mask in any way, their goalie mask. And the reason he started doing it was because every time he got hit in the face while wearing the mask with a puck, he put a stitch right at that location. And eventually, of course, it became a helmet full of stitches, which looks awesome. But like, he would add them along the way, which is such a cool concept.
It's a very cool concept. And over the years, you know, the goalie mask became one of the few outlets of personal expression. I mean, hockey is a very homogenous sport. You know, the old, it's the logo on the front, not the name on the back. Everybody's just supposed to be an anonymous player in service of the team. You don't get to decorate your helmet if you're a skater. You don't get to decorate your stick if you're a skater. But goalies can put an image of the Joker from The Dark Knight on their mask. They can put their kids' faces. Remember there being one goalie who played in Philadelphia who had zombified founding fathers on his mask. I mean, you have a chance to really express yourself and express your joy in playing for a certain team or a certain city on your mask. And that's one of the ultimate and only ways you can have self-expression in the National Hockey League.
Now, we've come a long way to what you're describing to the origin days. The origin days, the first designs, in some ways were pretty crude. We had like pie slices and different colors, but there were a lot of animals too. You had Michel Dion with the penguin mask, which I thought was pretty appropriate because he was playing for the Penguins, so that was a cool touch. You had the snake design. Also, like, when you look at them, some of them just look downright scary and horrifying.
We started scary. We really did. Like, the early goalie masks, and one of my favorite early ones was Gary Bromley of the Vancouver Canucks. His nickname was Bones, and he was nicknamed that because he was only about 145 pounds, for being honest. But, you know, leaning into the Bones thing, when he played for Vancouver, his mask was a skeleton head. And we're not talking about some cartoonish skeleton head. We're not talking about like a happy Halloween greeting card skeleton. We're talking about a frightening skeleton. We're talking about a skeleton where if I was on a breakaway skating in on Gary Bromley, I would drop my stick and run because of how scary the mask was. Those were kinds of the early designs. Scary, scary masks.
Yeah. My favorite from the era was Gilles Gratton. His nickname was Gratoony the Loony, and he had a tiger mask, and it just was, as you would expect, a tiger on his mask. And the origin story is kind of funny. He was on a plane, he was reading National Geographic, he saw a tiger in the magazine, and he thought, that would be cool. And that's it.
See,
He just got inspired by reading a magazine on a plane.
First of all, great. Kids, definitely read. Second of all, I think the early masks kind of speak to where goalie masks were in the culture at that point. I mean, we are talking about the late 70s, early 1980s. We're getting into the Jason Voorhees of it all. What's the scariest thing about Jason? It's probably the giant machete. But second is probably the goalie mask that he wears. And I think all of the goalie masks in the early era, the painted ones, the personalized ones, lean into the idea that goalie masks inherently a little freaky.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, if you wear a hockey mask, goalie mask, in any sort of television show, you're a badass. Jason Voorhees, Casey Jones.
Casey Jones with the Ninja Turtles.
Like you're messing things up.
You are.
Like you're one of the best. You're a goat. You're goated. So over the years, things changed. The look of the goalie mask, how it covers the entire head now, not just the front of the face, but also the designs.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk about the evolution of the goalie mask designs and some of your favorites over the years?
Well, I think of a guy like Brian Hayward of the San Jose Sharks. Now, in the olden days, maybe he's on the Sharks and he's got a shark on the mask or something. Well, Hayward went one step further. What do we know about sharks? We know about jaws. So he's got giant shark jaws on his mask, surrounding the mask. What do we also know about sharks, Arda? They eat people. So Hayward's head is in the middle of the shark jaws. The shark jaws have a little blood on them, in fact. And I'm like, lean into it, baby. That's exactly what we're looking for out of a goalie mask.
So is he saying that the shark got him because his face is in, like, because it's around his face? Mm-hmm. So the shark got him. He's the victim?
I'm thinking of a real John Voight in Anaconda vibe. Remember at the end of Anaconda where the anaconda eats John Voight, but he gets regurgitated up enough so he can wink at Jennifer Lopez? Like, that's how I'm thinking about Brian Hayward here.
Yeah, okay. So Brian Hayward survives in canon. I love the goalies that get inspired. You mentioned the Joker earlier. Yeah. I love when they are inspired by pop culture.
Yeah.
I'm a big Star Wars guy, so I love it when goalies bring Star Wars into their masks. Devin Levi's the most recent example. He's using the lightsabers, Jedi vibes. He even meditates during TV timeouts like Qui-Gon Jinn. And Colin Delia had a mask in the AHL where it was like a Rebel Alliance fighter pilot, which was really cool.
That's awesome. Kerry Lettinen used to play goal for the Atlanta Thrashers. He's the guy, I think he had a Dark Knight mask. He had the bride from Kill Bill on his mask. Like, he was always bringing the pop culture of it all forward. Again, just an endless amount of options, a great palette for creativity. And again, we're blessed with artists that know how to use it. Dave Gunnarsson, a guy that we both know, creates a lot of these amazing goalie masks. We had goalie masks that glow in the dark. It's just so fun to see not only the creativity behind it, but in some cases the innovation behind it.
It expanded for goalies beyond the mask. Now they're customizing their gloves, their blockers, their pads. One of my favorite designs is the goaltender for Team China with the dragons on the pads. So cool. What are some designs that stick out for you?
Henrik Lundqvist of the New York Rangers is by far one of the more stylish people we've ever had in the National Hockey League, off the ice, on the ice, same thing goes. One of my favorite jerseys in NHL history is the New York Liberty Head jersey, Art. Remember that? The third jersey, the NYR, the Liberty Head. Lundqvist at one point had pads that mimicked that jersey. I thought they were so dope. Oh, they were so cool. And, the customization of pads is right there. It's growing. When are we going to get advertising on these bad boys? When is the NHL going to allow the goalies to finally make a little bit more coin with your ad here on the front of those pads? Because let me tell you, that is a billboard. That is a billboard on the ice waiting for someone to buy the space.
We just got logos on the jerseys.
Yeah.
Now we're saying they're just going to hold 10, 12 logos, almost like stock cars on their pads.
I'm telling you, man, like the first goalie to come out and make a save wearing Chico's bail bonds pads, like back in the Bad News Bears days, it's going to be a cult icon.
One company I want to shout out that is doing a great job in hockey fashion and customization is Skate Skins.
Yeah.
So they I feel like they're so close to normalizing it in the National Hockey League. We see it at different levels. Essentially, they wrap around, much like how NBA players customize their sneakers, and NFL players customize their cleats. Skate Skins is trying to do that with skates.
Yeah.
So we're seeing that whether it's team specific or some sort of cause. They were the ones that went viral for the Jordan 1 Chicago skates that they created. They're doing some really innovative things, and I wonder in the next couple of years whether that's going to become the standard in leagues like the NHL.
Yeah, the skate customization is not quite there yet. I think the greatest example probably in the NHL is 2017. Alex Ovechkin had those awesome skates that were like the USA-Russia Summit skates, where he had the St. Basil's Cathedral on one side with a Russian flag, then he had the Capitol in Washington, D.C. on the other skate with the American flag. But, outside of doing some of those for charity, we really don't have a lot of skate customization yet in the NHL.
Let's talk about off-the-ice customization, fashion. For a long time, it was very, gotta wear a suit, gotta look professional. Seems like in some instances we've seen a relaxing or at least a fashionization of arrivals. There's a couple of players that come to mind, David Pastrnak, Henrik Lundqvist always looked, like you mentioned, always looked to the T. Auston Matthews. But where do you think we are in terms of hockey fashion off the ice?
I think there's pressure now. I think TikTok put a lot of pressure on teams to start doing fit checks as the players get on the plane. And now every team on social media, when they're hitting a road trip, it's like, fashion fit check, it's slow motion cheesecake shots of all the guys in their suits getting on the plane, and then a shot of Alex Ovechkin eating a bag of flaming hot Cheetos as he gets on the plane. But the good news is that I think the pressure has worked because these guys have really upped their fashion game. You didn't mention David Pastrnak. David Pastrnak was celebrated by his peers last season as the NHL's most stylish player, voted so by the NHLPA. I love his fashion. He's got great taste in suits, bold colors, isn't afraid to throw a little bit of innovation in his off-ice fashion. But where I think his fashion really comes to the forefront is when the Boston Bruins have to play dress-up for those outdoor hockey games.
Yes.
Like when they went to Lake Tahoe, the Bruins decided to all dress like they were villains in a 1980s ski comedy with bright neon colors and stuff. Pastrnak leaned all the way into it. Not only is he wearing the bright neon ski suit, but he's also wearing wraparound Bret Hart sunglasses. It's perfect.
Yeah, and the Bruins have done well, especially for outdoor games. The arrivals are always fun to see. They dressed up like the Red Sox for a Winter Classic. That was a lot of fun.
They did a Peaky Blinders thing at Notre Dame for that outdoor game.
Yes.
Yeah.
We mentioned Pastrnak. Maybe he's the consensus number one, but who are some other hockey players that you're like, yeah, fashion's on point here?
I mean, Auston Matthews is probably the other one. I mean, Auston, early in his career, when everybody was already fawning over him as being one of the best goal scorers to come around in decades, was somebody who took fashion very seriously. Like, he's done spreads in fashion magazines. He always looks really good off the ice. He takes it very seriously.
This is where we should give credit to our boy PK Subban, who does PKGQ, which is a recurring segment on our broadcasts where he's constantly handing out fashion fines to those that don't follow the letter of the law in terms of fashion. He's doing a great job. I mean, he always looks great. He always comes correct. So
this is Dior. This is a long trench, ladies and gentlemen. I did not get this post-career. I got this while I was playing because I can't afford this jacket now. So, yes, that's why I look amazing, Arda. Thank you very much. You don't even have to say anything. I know I look great.
All right, Wish, here's our homework. So let's pick a player past or present and hook them up with some sort of custom gear that would have leveled them up fashion-wise or improved their game.
All right, here's what I want. Pavel Bure, he was known as the Russian Rocket. Fastest skater in the league when he played. One of the best goal scorers we've ever had as well. Here's what I want. I want something on his skates where if he hits a certain mile per hour while skating down the ice, I want smoke to emanate from the back of the skate, like he's got actual rockets on his skates. We can't put actual rockets on the skates. It would be a competitive advantage for Pavel Bure that would be unfair to the rest of the league. But little smoke machines, it's like speed. When the bus hit a certain, mile per hour, the bomb gets activated. When Pavel Bure hits a certain mile per hour, the smoke machines get activated, and all of a sudden, he's rocketing down the ice with a trail of smoke behind him.
You want Pavel Bure to have his own pyro.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically like self-pyro, yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I actually like that idea a lot. I actually thought you were going to go turbo boost.
No.
I thought you were just like, someone's going to press a button and he's like, zoom!
Do you know how quickly these guys would complain if one of the other guys had a turbo boost? If he had a small nitro canister on his skates?
Connor McDavid going at 40 miles an hour.
You'd never hear the end of it. The GM would be on the telephone with the league the next morning. You can't use nitro on the ice.
What's going on here? Why are we doing this? Sort of to that point, but more realistic. I would have loved to see how like Maurice Richard or Mike Bossy or Gordie Howe, the best goal scorers of their day, what they would have done with today's sticks.
Oh, yeah.
So what their flex would have been, what they would have done with composite, not like straight, no curve, straight wooden sticks that
carved
weighed
out of a tree
80
that
pounds.
morning. Yeah, exactly.
I would have loved to see how many more goals Maurice Richard would have scored with like an 85 flex or something like that.
There you go.
This episode is presented by Mow & Flow, because water should stay on the ice, not in your walls.